Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Harlem Stage Live. I'm Monique Martin. I'm the Director of Programming for Harlem Stage, and we as an institution have closed our doors while we all move through this current pandemic of COVID-19 that is gripping New York City, the nation, and the globe. So while we have our doors shuttered, we wanted to take an opportunity to move some of our content and our conversations and connect with our artists on digital platforms. So today we are honored to bring one of Harlem Stage's family members from the Harlem Stage family of artists, Omari. He's also known as Omari Wiles, and he has a couple of other monikers as well, which he can tell you all about. And I just want to welcome you this afternoon and just say thank you for joining us in the conversation. We look forward to just diving into your work, your new company, everything that you're about. Omari is known as a choreographer, a dancer, and an in-demand judge internationally and nationally in the ballroom scene. So we want to talk about all of that this afternoon. And he also has been part of the Harlem Stage family in 2018 when he formed his company, and also 2019 developing a new work. So we want to talk about all of that. So I'll just start by asking you, how are you, mind, body, and spirit, with everything that we're going through now?
Well, first of all, I just want to say hi, Monique.
Hey.
It's really, really good to see you. It's really, really, it's been a journey in itself, a spiritual journey. It's been a time for me to reflect as a human being, time for me to reflect as a Black minority in America, living in America. It was, it's given me time to reflect as a Black artist. What does Black art mean to me, and how I can really use what my voice is, and how I can tell my story, or at least what I'm experiencing and seeing around me. This quarantine, it started off, everyone not knowing what's happening, what's going to happen. We're about to shut doors down. We're shutting outside down. You know, it was very scary, very unexpected. And a lot of people are taking a hit from it. And now with everything that's going on, to add on top of it with all these race wars and things that's happening in the protests and the riots and the looting, you know, it's now, we had a physical virus, and now we're attacking and revealing what this virus is within our own society, in our own world. And it's not just here in the States, but it's all over the world, because racism is a system that has plagued the entire world, and it's something that I have been able to really just educate myself more on, as well. Like, I am 32 years old. I have been through my own personal struggles in life, but I've never really had much issues in, like, being being seen as, or it's my upbringing and stuff like that was different. I came from a very big, broad background of family members and communities that welcomed my mom and dad and myself. So, as a young kid, I was blind to see a lot of things, that others saw before me, and in my adult age, I'm optimistic, so I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. That's something that has been always me, and how I see people. So it's really hard for me to, like, look at friends and see differences, what I'm saying, like that. And now that this is happening, it's like I'm reflecting a lot and educating my lot on what is racism, how it's affected and how it's affecting, you know, society and all of us and myself. Um,
And you're responding to the uprisings, as you have articulated, following the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and also other injustices against Black people and people of color. And now the world is responding.
yep.
It's been incredible to see a memorial service for George Floyd being held in Ghana, and for the Minister of Culture to say, you are welcomed here. Come home if you need to. So when you talk about your work, it may be too early to tell, but how has everything that you have to negotiate? I mean, what, just on a basic level, you can't go out, so you're having you're sheltering at home. How are you connecting with your dancers? Has all the current events shifted your thinking about how you approach choreography? Just how is it impacting you as an artist and also as a leader of a company?
Um, for me, there's so many different variables that I have to now think about. You know, um, my company alone is very diverse. We are a mixed, you know, very mixed and very complex company, you know, just in terms of where each member comes from and their background, their cultural background alone. And that brings something special to what we do. A lot of people
And
will
what is that
see,
mix?
I mean, it's made of, I mean, we have Japanese, Korean, Guatemalan, you know, uh, Puerto Rican, we have Persian, you know, we Senegalese, Mali. We have so many different, you know,
Dominican.
Dominican. We have so many different backgrounds in our family that we've come together in celebration of dance and culture and rhythm and really exploring that. A lot of people would see me, you know, as a, you know, and see and think that my company is just creating art that revolves around the director, myself. And that's not what my company is about. You know, we are Les Ballet Afrik. There's so much African culture and Afro roots in everyone's background. So I try to explore those roots through each one's culture, you know what I'm saying, differences and things like that. Um, and again, like voguing and African dance, that's my way of expressing, you know, my way of speaking, you know what I'm saying? Every company member, we don't just always, they don't all vogue, they don't all do African dance. There's different things that they bring onto the table. And there's different things that I have to learn and pick up as well. You know what I'm saying? As, you know, the director, they're teaching me and I'm teaching them and we're teaching each other, you know, how to work together and where these similarities in our backgrounds and our cultural backgrounds make sense. And do they make sense? You know, that's just the movement aspect of it. Then I have to think about like, well, what type of topics do we talk about now? You know, what do we want to say? You know, figuring out the way that we move is one part of the company. Every company has to do that. If not, every company would look the same. You know what I'm saying? Ron Brown's company looks like Ron Brown's company because they figured out a way, a movement, a language that they speak to. Efrat company moves like Efrat's company because it's a way that they move and speak. My company has to look like who we are. You know what I'm saying? Like we are diverse. You know what I'm saying? So the movement has to be that. That's the way that we have to move. And we all have to be respectable and knowledgeable in each one of, you know, our body languages. And that's what makes us very, very unique. We push
And
each
when
other
you
every
talk
single time.
about, yeah, absolutely. I've seen it. I've witnessed that. When you talk about, I just want to lift up the African in other cultures. So when you talk about, as an example, bomba in culture, you know, Latin culture, that it's the African roots of that culture. And I really appreciate that thinking that it's broader than Senegalese dance because you have Senegalese heritage, and your mother, let's shout out Mari Bass, the legendary African teacher, educator, and dancer, that you obviously have gained so much vocabulary in your own work from just growing up from the womb. You had it. So I'm sure you came out with 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you lifting up the African thread, or threading that throughout your company members, and extending them the opportunity to find that within their own culture, and then putting that together. So would you say, as you've mentioned other companies, like when we see Ron Brown, we know Ron Brown vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
You know Catherine Dunham vocabulary. And it's a beautiful thing when a choreographer is able to, one, get the support that they need to create enough work so that they can even figure out what their vocabulary is, because that takes time, I would imagine. So your company is how old now, and where do you think you are in terms of defining your own particular vocabulary?
Well, right now the company is only 2 years old. We are still a baby. And I love that. I love that we are all learning at the same time. We have, everyone in the company has different experiences. I've been lucky enough to experience, a lot within the industry, a lot within, different dancing with different companies and things like that. But even myself, I'm learning as a director, as a young Black director. I'm learning as a person, as a historian of history and culture, and an activist, really, because that's what dancing is too. Performing arts is, it's a form of activism as well. And me, the type of leader that I want to be in my community is, I want to speak about what's going on, what's important. And, if no one listens, they will watch. You know what I'm saying? They will watch, and, hopefully they'll be inspired, and that's what, again, like you said, threading the African roots, what I'm saying, through each culture. And then again, finding those similarities and being okay with those differences amongst each other, what I'm saying, but creating and being able to weave a way of communicating, a way of working together. That's what our goal is in the company, in Les Ballet Afrik. And I think that's what's really important too right now, what I'm saying, and what's happening around us, so I I see the company continuously growing. We have grown. We've actually added more members to the company. Um, and again, like, when people see me, they see the different communities that I'm a part of. So they also expect my company to represent those communities as well. Um, I had to also look, every director wants great dancers. I didn't want just great dancers. I wanted authentic people from these communities. I wanted authenticity, not just great dancers. Like,
Right.
I think that's one big thing that I admired my mom, over the years for. Her dance company was a community-based company. She had auditions, but she looked for people within her community. She didn't look for the best dancers. She took in those who were willing to give their time and their passion and dedication, and she taught them and groomed them and made them into what they wanted to be, or what she saw in them. And that's something that I take pride in doing with my company. Everyone that's in the company has been friends. It wasn't even auditions. They were like, hey, you want to be in my company? Hey, you want to be in my company? It was literally, I put everyone in a group chat and was like, hey guys, I'm having rehearsals on such and such day. Are you guys available? And these are friends. These are friends. These are brothers. These are sisters. These are people who I call my daughters, my sons. You know, so you know, again, it was about finding authentic dancers that I can grow with as well, because I don't want it to be any issues within my company about like who's here.
And if
I'm
we
not
think
looking.
about, yeah, absolutely. If we think about our legends like Catherine Dunham and Alvin Ailey, they too looked for who's telling a story with their body, who's a storyteller with their
Yes.
movement versus who can do 6 o'clock, you know, and a tilt perfectly.
Yeah.
We know we want to see that too, but we also want to go on a journey. So I wanted to lift up a bit when you talk about your overlapping communities that you belong in, one being the African dance community, because that's where you were raised, it was in your home, you couldn't escape that. So you have a strong African dance vocabulary. So I'd like you to talk about what those styles are, because African dance is broad. We know that there's 54 countries in Africa. So what is your particular style or your range of styles of African dance? And then what other communities, because you are, which we want to also talk about, Vogue and the ballroom community and how that informs your own vocabulary.
Well, for me, okay, so I'm Senegalese. That's my Senegal is my home. That's my heart. Um, Mali is also part of my bloodline from my mom's side of the family. So Senegalese styles of dance from Sabar to Katiro, styles like djembe, rhythms within djembe, Katiro, and Sabar, like Chebijin, Nyadegoro, Kaulak, um, Linjin, Katiro. Like the Ikonkon, there's so many different rhythms that I have been.
Lamba.
Okay, that's all with like, yes, Lamba, Dunumba, Monosodon, Sunu, Marakodon, and Giri. There's like, the list goes on. I, okay,
But a
my
lot of people
mom,
don't know that. A lot of people are not familiar. They may think gumboot dancing is from Senegal.
is from
So this
Senegal,
is
right? And
also
that's from
this is
South
also the
Africa.
exactly. So this is also why, although we are not in the gatehouse, we would never be able to have this kind of conversation around your dance. We can do the post-show Q&As, but you can't really get deep. So that's why I'm asking you, like, tease it all the way out, because many people are watching your ballets and they don't know exactly what the names are. So it's a little education as well.
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah, like, me being born from Senegal, you know, I grew up learning Sabar dance, you know, and learning Katiro dance, um, watching my mom and and the elders, you know, what we call a tiny bear, you know, like a sabar party, watching them form a circle with the drummers and each rhythm being different. You know, it's the same drums playing, but you can tell what rhythm was a rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Like which rhythm was Kaulak, which rhythm was Chebijin, which rhythm was Serer, you know, and these will also speak to like the tribes as well, like which rhythm belonged to which tribes and stuff. You know, learning about my Malian culture and background, um, and also being, you know, schooled by other teachers from Guinea, from South Africa, from the Congo, you know, from Nigeria. This is something that I was blessed with as growing up because of my mom and dad being a part of that community, you know, and then of course me just wanting to always be around my mom and dad and follow them in their footsteps. You know, I just dancing was something that I always wanted to do, and I always wanted to learn so much more, you know, about the different rhythms and African cultures and things. And because and, you know, in like African culture is like everyone's your uncle, everyone's your auntie. So it felt really comfortable to take everyone's classes. You know, it regardless if I didn't understand the language they were speaking. Like people from Guinea don't speak the same language from, you know, those from Senegal. But the rhythms, the dancing, that was like, okay, we understood each other, you know?
So how
So
do you go from this rich African dance and drumming community to the ballroom community, and how does that weave into your choreography?
Well, before the ballroom came the house scene, the house community.
Yeah.
That's what introduced me. It really opened up my mind to different rhythms and different ways of moving and textures, taking a lot of the African dance steps that, you know, sometimes a lot of people see them, they're high energy. It's a lot of movement. You see them like within one step, you're already breaking a sweat. But like in house dance, being able to like switch the groove. Sorry, blacked out there.
I
And
know. So go back to house dance, switch the groove, go back right before that.
You know, but house dancing, having to switch the groove around, the texture around of these movements, like it was really, really fun. It was, you know, different for me. The footwork, you know, doing all the footwork was interesting. It was the music, you know, the music made you want to dance. And I felt that connection with the African dancing and house. When I started to go into like house clubs and stuff, I started to see like, oh, house dance is more than just what I thought it was. Like there's so many people joining in and there's so many different other styles. Like I saw breakers dancing to house music. I saw, that's when I got introduced to whacking and to Vogue, you know, and I was like, whoa, okay, what is this going on? These dancers are moving, they're moving. And these men, you know, they were expressing themselves and their gestures, like they were commanding the stage in a way that I only, because I came from, you know, my mom's teaching stuff, I only saw women be able to command the stage that way. You know what I'm saying? So to see a man command it in this very feminine gestures, you know what I'm saying, but be able to like take charge of the room, it was empowering for me, especially at that time, you know, coming out into that scene. It was difficult to want to own up to my femininity at the same time stay connected to my masculinity as well. But the only way that I could do that was through these communities. It was through this music, house music, disco. You know, I fell in love with that. I kind of stepped away from the traditional African drum. Not that I was missing something from it, but this house music was able, I felt like I was able to speak on both sides of me that I wasn't able to in just traditional African dance. And that's really what started to help me develop my own language and my own way of moving, you know, incorporating my background and my backbone of African culture and rhythms and stuff, but being able to then like shed some of those, you know, more sensitive sides of me, you know what I'm saying? And not feel that being sensitive was weak or making me less than, but being able to see myself as I saw those men take charge and take command of the stage. That's what I wanted to empower myself with. So Afrik, you know, just the name itself, it was like, yeah, African dance, but no, it's Afrik. It was a way for me to like let this inner me out, you know, all of me, you know, and unapologetically like show the world my textures of my personality, my grooves, you know, of, you know, my voice. So.
And that's what we see in your work. I also want to just lift up something that you said earlier about the different styles as you're talking about it now: house dance, African dance, ballroom culture, which includes whacking, voguing, and other styles, and where the masculine and the feminine represents itself in different ways.
Yeah.
And in African dance, we see the women as strong dancers and the men driving the drums.
Yeah.
But we also know those men will jump from behind that drum and bump a move too. And this is what I love about the culture. And in house dance, you know, women can give you feminine, men can give you feminine, women can be, I mean, all of those, you know, binaries, if you will,
Yeah.
are really dissolved on the
Yeah.
dance floor. And the other piece that I wanted to just lift up as I'm thinking about your work, your first ballet that has two parts that you finished. And thank you to Gibney for coming on board. Shout out to Ava Santawa and all the folks at Gibney, and also the Guggenheim as well, that, you know, these three organizations, Harlem Stage, Gibney, and Guggenheim, supports your work to finish your work. And I just want to say that also for my presenting colleagues, this is what it takes. We have to come together, especially now, to support artists in finishing their work so that it is now ready to tour.
Yeah.
So what I see in your work is what could be looked at as two competing ideas, because you have the African, you have some modern, you have some voguing. And so I understand it because I know you, but if you just could speak quickly about how what is the vision behind that, what might look like as competing ideas, movements, but actually is part of a bigger story.
It's so much part of a bigger story. I want people to see it and feel like there is a battle, because there is this battle between masculinity and femininity in this world. It's a
And in our
constant
own
struggle,
bodies.
and in
Yeah.
our own bodies as well. So I want them to witness, you know, no matter what story we're telling, I want the movement to always make the audience, you know, wonder and think. It's not about gender. You know, it's not about none of that. It's not about gender. It's not about sexuality. You know what I'm saying? It's being about expression, you know, and being able to freely express both your masculine and feminine side, you know, and show them at their strengths. You know what I'm saying? That's what Africa is about. In the movement that we do, that is what the company is about. That is what each dancer in the company, when we come to rehearsals, when we are performing, that's our mindset. That's what we're thinking. We are showing so much strength, so much vulnerability at the same time. You know, it's a constant battle. And that's just what I wish to hope, to keep creating work that is not just the movement is speaking and showing a constant battle, but our topics as well is going to be a constant battle. And I'm looking into doing how to do that, you know what I'm saying, more within the pieces that I create. So I'm just excited to keep exploring.
Excellent. So we are in for a treat, because you're going to give us a tutorial, a little mini masterclass on the styles. And so I just want to thank you. And where can we be in touch with you? And then we will get right into that tutorial.
Great. Well, you know, you can always find me on IG at Omari_Wiles, and I cannot wait. I can't wait to do the Harlem Stage IG takeover. It's going to be amazing. Those classes are going to be so dope and educational, and I'm so excited. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. This has been Harlem Stage Live with Omari Wiles. We'll see you soon. Start stretching now.
Yes.
Okay. We gave some minute at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Asha. That was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.